Well, let's get to it. So again, thank you. Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us. This is our next in the series of Practice Partner Lunch and Learns. We are going to be focusing on MIPS and data today, validation and auditing. And before I turn this over to Susie to get us started, I'm just going to go through our typical housekeeping notes. Today's session is being recorded and will be made available to participants after the event. You will receive an email after the event that has a link to the slides that we're going to go through today, as well as a recording. Please pass that along to any coworkers that couldn't join us for the live session, to any customers that couldn't join us for the live session, or for your reference. All of your lines are in listen-only mode. As always, you can use the Q&A as well as the chat tab to send over questions. We will try to answer those as they come in. If not, we'll save them to the end of the discussion. And if we are not able to get to them at the end of the discussion, we will follow up with you via email and get those answers. Okay, so in terms of housekeeping, so without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and turn over to Susie to get us started. Susie?
Thank you. Heidi, thanks for joining. We're going to go ahead and start moving through this and auditing for your MIPS and MACRA data, as well as meaningful use, if that's what you're attesting to. I just want to throw a short plug in here on our EMDs Engage. It's an online training package that is in the process of, we're implementing it now, and a single license is $120, and a multiple license is $500 annual license. That basically brings online training to the Practice Partner product and new information that's coming out. Currently, we're in the construction of that, but we have our new UpDocs portal information on the UpDocs. There's new things moving forward to it, and keeping on that library. So if it's interested in, contact your executive to be able to get signed up on that. So what we're going to talk about today is MIPS data validation and auditing, and basically the validation that is come from CS. And the final rule just requires them to provide us with criteria to use to audit and validate measures and activities. And with that being published on that, it gives you a little better idea of what, if you were to be audited for these measures, which that's a possibility it could happen. Gives you an idea of what they would be looking at. And so when I put this presentation together, what I want to do is kind of reflection as to, what is, and through a lot of our experience on our end of it, if people call in saying, we got an audit, what do we do? With when it comes to audits, any of us have been around in this business long enough, we need to be proactive, not reactive with an audit, because when they come knocking, we need to be able to produce information on that. Categories subjected to the audits obviously are the categories with the MIPS and the MACRA, and there's more based on the MIPS, but I'll include meaningful use, because again, if you're testing the Medicaid, you're still in the meaningful use. So I mean, that's important that you have that documented to be able to support an audit there too. Quality reporting is very big. We know that in the past years, reporting really wasn't a high audit term, because even in the meaningful use side of it, we reported, but we didn't really, there wasn't a lot of pressure put onto us. And once the PQRS came around, and now in the position of that really takes a big toll of what kind of money we're going to start getting back on it, it's a high audit team. And it's very important that you keep that in mind and understand that even though you're reporting it and you're using a registry or whatever process that you're using to report that if they audit that you come back and support that and be able to support those measures and information that you attested to the government. Your API, the interoperability, which is now in kind of a new change of information coming onto that, is still subject to audits and will be, and then improvement activities is also a big one that's going to come on, and mostly because that's a yes or no answer when you come onto it and you say, this is what I'm going to do when you attest. But there's no data collected on that, so you want to make sure that whatever improvement activities that you collect or that you say that you're going to do, that you can support those to be able. And then last is the claims data and the cost, which basically, anyone that's been submitting claims for a while, we know that they just continuously audit us ongoing as it comes onto it. So there again, though, if my claims going out the door, that's been changed. I've always had to support the medical necessity of that and why it is that we're getting that done. All right. So when, even way back when I know many of you first started was the one that it came to my mind and other classes I take from other people was, you've got to put your data in a good place, and it needs to be someplace that is easily to be lab. Because when the audit comes running, if they call and knock on your door, they send you that nice letter. You've got 45 days to answer that. So I suggest is basically having some kind of a file like this one, like a MIPS 2018, and every single year that you attest, just rename it, information that comes on, and then have subfolders inside of it. You want to make sure that it's organized, because if you're just dumping a bunch of stuff in there, then when or if I need to get that data, then I'm going to have to sort through stuff. And that are always high stress as it is, so why not have it organized so that you can easily access data and be able to submit it back to them and have it there. The other thing to keep in mind on this is, again, you may be tracking all this data, but maybe when the audit comes, because they've got 6 years to do it, that you may even be around at that point, or you might not be working in that capacity anymore. So by keeping it nice and organized, somebody else, another staff member, or I should say, and it should always be more than one staff member that understands where this file is and understands that the data that's in there, but make it easy for them to access this data as well so that they get it and keep everybody safe and be able to set the data and to be able to move through that audit successfully without a lot of stress. The one is you'll read, as you look through the validation tool and what they're suggesting, information that pulls on is that print screens will help support this documentation information that comes on. Your truth, the truth of the data, or the source of the truth of the source, however you want to put that term, comes from the EHR. We're sending that data out to FigMD or another registry, whether you're collecting the data at the PMSI metric level. The source is right in here inside of your EHR. And so when you take information that pulls in and the workflow and the data, the one thing is while you're doing that, make sure that you're doing print screens as well as capturing your date and time stamping that information when you're taking those print screens. This way, then it goes ahead and it shows that this is when it was done, and you want that time period to be the time period of when you're doing the attestation to show that it won, and then it matches up with your PMSI metrics report, because that also will pulls the numerator and denominator information, so you want everything to line